Good morning as I sit here and continue to remember about the journey of my mother when she was sick, bone cancer. And I also remember some, I remember all the details of this journey. And I remember having to watch her health decline and also protect her from some of her own children. Um, it was a fight, but I didn't see it as a fight at that time. I just became in protective mode. And I remember one thing. I remember a lot of things, but I remember my oldest brother calling defects because he was trying to force her into a nursing home. And I found out later from my brother that the one that he controls, that he wasn't really doing that to Mama. He was trying to hurt you. Well, it affected our mother. And so I remember him calling defects. He called several times, doing everything he could to make me fail. So he could say, see, he failed. I pushed her into it. She ended up in a nursing home. Well, I remember him calling defects this one particular time. He called several because they revealed who called. And he says, her house is not fitting to live in. It doesn't have a back door. Well, those houses back then that were built, brick home, they didn't make back doors. But she did have two side doors and one front door. And they came out to inspect the house and said, it's fine, you have three exits. And sometimes I remember, um, how do I say this? Sometimes I go back down memory lane just because it's natural, not that I try to, but I'm starting to remember all the things that she had to go through. And I know that she was hurt. She said it on several occasions. I knew that she was bothered by the fact that her own child would try to harm her, even though my brother, one of my brothers says he wasn't trying to hurt Mama, he was trying to hurt you. I can't even imagine doing something to get to somebody else, but it ultimately affects your mother. And it speaks of the lack of love and the selfishness and the narcissistic, narcissistic behavior, because you can't be in control and somebody else is in control, and you'll do everything you can to make them fail. And that was the goal. But our mother didn't end up in a nursing home. She had bone cancer. And this is my journey. And as I sit back and think about all the things that I endured and still came out on top, or still I completed the task that I was sent to do. I also remember hearing my mother when we were in the hospital, because I stayed in the hospital for 2.5 weeks with her. She woke up. She said, "You still here?" I said, "Where am I going?" She said, "Boy, I thank you for loving me the way you love me, and thank you for doing for me the way you're doing for me." I said, "Mom, there's no need to thank me. This is my reasonable service, and this is why I'm here. You took care of us when we were children. Now it's our turn to take care of you." And I also remember her saying, "I wish the rest of them loved me the way you loved me." And I had to explain it to her. I said, "Mom, everyone has a different way of showing you their love." I didn't say this part, and everyone has their way of showing you their lack of love. but I did tell her. Everyone, because I did not want her to feel as if everyone had to measure up and do what I was doing. I remember some time ago, I told my brothers, I said, y'all had it longer than me. Y'all are all older than me. I'm the youngest. And yeah, when I look back on it, I am a Joseph. I'm that character. No one would have ever told me that this would be happening. I am a Joseph, and I'm okay with that. I'm really good with that. And when I realized that people are fighting their own parasites. I'm not taking anything personally. And to this day, 9 years later, still fighting their own parasites. And so, those of you that have parents, and those of you that are siblings, and rally around your parents or that parent that's sick. You really should rally around them when they're not sick, but definitely rally around them when they are sick. My grandmother used to say, once a man, twice a child. I didn't understand it then, but it took me years to understand it. But you know, you're a child, somebody has to take care of you when you're born, and at the end of the story, at the end of your life, if you live to get older, if you live to get old and you're high numeric age, somebody's going to have to take care of you. And so that's that twice a man. You're going to become a child, you're going to grow up once a man. I'm sorry, that's once a man, twice a child. You're going to become a child again. And remember that because uh, you want somebody to take care of you when you get old and you can't do for yourself. Even though I knew our mother was going to be here um, long after she found out that she's not going to recover from that, her femur breaking. My mother was almost 80 years old. She passed at 79. And I'm just sitting here reminiscing and remembering. But I cannot erase the impact of or the journey of what happened. Sometimes people want to say, why don't you just don't talk about that? Yeah, no, that's the problem. We don't talk about the stuff that we've experienced. And we let it go thinking that it's okay. You should talk it out. Talk about it. And you'll find out later, though, that some of the experiences that you're having now, the pushback, the negativity as you're older, a lot of that was in their mind when they were younger. They feel a certain way. They have childhood trauma. And I had a conversation with someone yesterday, 2 days ago. Someone who's right, who was born a couple of years after my mom. And when she told me what she was going through with her family, I said, oh, listen. I said, I know what that feels like. So, y'all love your parents. And if you can't get along, don't fight in front of them. And before they leave here, make sure you rally around them. Let them know that you love them. I never wanted our mother to feel unloved. And this is why I spoke up when she felt a certain way. I said, we were all placed here to do different things. And this is my responsibility. I'm very affectionate. I loved on her. I hugged her. I mean, hey, I'm the baby. What am I supposed to do? But there will be people, there are going to be family members at times. They're going to hate your place in life, like where you are, when you were born, um, your place in life. And I have experienced that and still are experiencing it 9 years later. But I want to say to you, love, don't let someone else's hate cause you to love less. Love will always win. Always win. All right? Y'all have a great day. Keep loving the people that love you, and the people that don't love you, love them still, but give them distant love because you don't need that negativity in your life. And who would think their own child would fight them because they don't like who's in charge? People have power struggles. They struggle with power. They feel like their age and their placement in life gives them the, um, they should have this position. Parents, choose the people that are going to pay attention to the details of your life, not just want to say, I'm in control. Because my mother knew that if that person had control, had she coughed wrong, immediately she would have been placed in the nursing home. But she knew I wasn't going to do that. She said, I need somebody that's going to fight for me. And I did. I questioned the doctors. I had conversations with the doctors. I needed a printout. I needed to know what was happening. I asked detailed questions. She heard me. So many times she would tell them, I'm going to tell my baby on y'all. Because she knew that I would handle it in a way. Now, I'm not saying no one else would have. Like my brother Earl, he's going to handle it in a way. He's going to handle it in his way. He was there many times, sitting there, hurting. And our mother asked him, boy, what's wrong with you? He said, Mama, when you hurt, I hurt. And that's how it should be. When they hurt, you should hurt. And then there are those who would try to change the narrative of the story after they're dead, as if they were there. Y'all, you don't have to change stories and come up with something when you are there supporting a support system. Um, as I've often said, our mother raised 8 children by herself, and I've often said this to other family members. If one person could take care of 8 people, why is it that 8 people can't take care of one person? Think about that. The math is not mathing.